Welcome to the Ryerson Third Year Design Lab located on the second floor of Care Hall South. We have chosen the lab, as we are third-year design and communication students who are constantly using the space. There are pros to this room, as well as many cons. We will start with the pros. Pros to the third-year design lab are the huge windows that are along one whole side of the room. They allow for plenty of natural light. The sewing machines are set up in a productive manner as they allow lots of space between machines. Another pro is that the drafting area and the sewing area are separate from each other, allowing the students to be productive in the necessary areas.
Now we are going to speak about the cons of the space. The arousal perspective is relatable to the third-year design sewing lab, as the students who are working in the lab have a lower state of arousal due to the poor working environment. As Yerkes Dodson's law would say, small amounts of stress due to arousal can be extremely beneficial on an environment, but too much stress can lead to poor levels in performance, which then affects the students' ability to problem solve and remember information. If the sewing lab was better organized, then the students would have less to worry about when it comes to personal space and where to put their things. One way to improve the organization is through shelving units. If there were taller, skinnier shelves, it would allow for more room for the students' belongings, bags, fabric, patterns, sewing supplies, etc. And the size of the shelves would create more room for moving around, as they would be taller and thinner than the shelves that are currently in the lab. Lockers are also another alternative to the shelves.
Another way of causing less clutter would be to add sliding doors on the clothing racks. That way there is less visual distraction. The fluorescent lights are extremely harsh, and it would be easier on the eyes if they were switched to halogen or incandescent light bulbs. Another way to improve the space would be to paint the walls a consistent color and one that is more calming, such as a lighter, softer blue that is known to calm the mind. As Edward O. Wilson says, biophilia is the innately emotional affiliation of human beings to other living organisms. Innate means hereditary and hence part of ultimate human nature. It is extremely important to have influences of nature in a setting that is considered stressful, as it has a calming effect on the people in the space. The third-year design lab has no aspects of nature, as the windows overlook Good Street, which is full of people, buildings and other distractions. A way to improve the lack of nature is by building in a dome garden balcony. This will allow students the opportunity to be around nature and get away from the hustle and bustle of the lab. The design lab also can cause overload for many students. There are a lot of students who work in the lab at once, therefore lots of noise. The more noise there is from students talking, the sewing machines, the broken radiator and other external factors, the more likely it is that the students will feel a sense of overload. It is extremely hard to concentrate and work effectively and efficiently when there is so many things happening that cause interference. There is also inadequate use of the garbage bins. They are supposed to be used for mainly excess paper, but instead they have turned into trash bins full of old food, wrapper and packaging and other things that are not meant to be in that specific bin.
It would be helpful if students were allowed to enter from both doors, instead of just one. This would help limit the amount of noise, as there would be less knocking as people consistently want to get into the room. It would be helpful if there were 4 different garbage bins, one for garbage, that is food, wrappers, etc., one for recycling, cans, cardboard, etc., and 2 for paper, drafting papers, etc. They should also all have lids on them to reduce the smell. It would be helpful if new sewing machines were purchased that were less noisy, as well as fixing the radiators along the walls and the vents on the ceiling, as the radiators are constantly making loud, annoying noises and all 4 vents in the room do not work. To conclude, there are many changes that can be made to reduce the stress the students feel in this space. By addressing the cons and turning them into pros, it allows for a better working environment, which then leads to more productive students.